Sunspots. Alright, that's Sunspots.
All right, so it's time to go live, I think. I always plan these a little early so that I'm ready when there's people. And so there's two of you here. I guess we can start. Um, all right, music down. All right, so thank you for being here. There's been three. There was doesn't matter. It's time. So this was part of the lesson. This was not the fun thing. This all right. So there's a picture here. I like doing lessons that have a picture. All right. Yeah. So I was. That was as I've been going through the. All right. First off, if you can't hear me, let me know. I'm following the comments on a second computer, so occasionally I'll comment if I'm able to. Um, so basically, I had wanted to talk about sunspots, but I had found some literature that I hadn't seen before, and so those were PDF files that I had wanted to share. I wanted to read it, and there's a lot of technical stuff in their equations and whatnot that I can't. I couldn't. I'm looking at that. I'm not able to. Um, uh, they're vacuuming upstairs, so it's distracting me. Sorry. All right, so there's a lot of equations I can't decipher and a lot of stuff in there. That's why I did that, so I could learn. And so it's I don't know. It's time to talk about sunspots. Let's see if I can adjust this better. All right. I'm getting a new camera soon, and I'm going to abandon the old Samsung J3 way. It's been charming, but it's time to move into the 21st century here. Um, I've actually been investing money in the studio, so I can have some really um, good quality products, content, as it were, for my faithful listeners and subscribers and viewers. I don't know if you can hear that, but the apartment right upstairs above me is vacuuming right over my head, which is fine enough. I'm just a little distracted in the background. Uh, um, so anyway, all right. So I had wanted to talk about sunspots from the perspective of the Schumann resonances. And in everything I do here, it's in reference to the Schumann resonances. There's other channels like Wages World that follows the whole gamut of stuff from solar radiance. There's other stations that follow or YouTube channels that follow sunspots, and what they mean. Suspicious observers. That's fine, but I'm coming at them from, yeah, all right, so what are they? First off, what are sunspots? And the introductory film strip, I guess we'll call it, the PDF film strip, gives you a good a good scientific technical kind of description. Actually, too technical for me, but all right. So we kind of understand what they are. They have a magnetic component to them. Um, but the question, hold on. Oh, good golly. So the question that I'm always asking myself in reference to this channel is, how does it affect the Schumann resonances? Um, and so that's, I'm going to adjust the camera here for a sec. All right. I'm trying to straighten up the image, and so I'm looking at it, and so I apologize for this, but it's usually I do a test run, and I didn't have time to do a test run, so I'm testing on the run. I'm not going to sing that, but if Bradley's here, he'll know what song that's from. Testing on the run. All right. Oh, good. All right. So I can see the picture a little better here. All right. My mic's in place. I got my coffee. There's now two of you watching. I don't care. I'm picturing me in front of the class. There's two of you who haven't gone to the bathroom or are smoking yet. All right. So this here was an interesting article from, I got it online. It's earthsky.org. And uh, we're looking at sunspots from the perspective of what are they technically, and how are they affecting the Schumann resonances. And I guess in the first place, it's not the sunspots themselves are not necessarily affecting the Schumann resonances. Okay, so that's part of what it is, that they of themselves do not have necessarily the magnetic strength, pushing out from them to send out anything to Earth. However, what happens, as we know frequently, is that they are precursors to mass ejections, coronal CMEs, which are it's a plasma, it's a field of highly charged uh, ions and electrons that get burped out to us, belched out to us, and affect us in numerous ways. All right. And so as the solar cycle is getting more active, we want to look at the effect that the sun has, the solar sunspots, I'm sorry, have on the solar cycle. All right. So what does affect the the Schumann resonances the most are the solar flares. All right, but that also is that they would affect all the rest of everything else as well. It's it's not it's the CME, a coronal mass ejection, causes uh, I don't want to say damage, but it causes a lot of havoc. We'll say on the instruments, on our magnetic field. Um, uh, that's one of the things that is really important to to look at is the effect on the magnetic um, the sphere, the magnetosphere around the planet. All right, so I'm going to read this article because I think it's real interesting. Um, and so, as more people come in, we have more of a chat. I will bring up the other issues. I want to talk about also the relative strength of a sunspot. All right, so we can look at that relative to. That's part of what I'm looking up here. I have in my Google search is what is the relative magnetic strength of a sunspot. All right. So ultimately, we have this as a goal. So in the meantime, I'm going to read what this says. All right. So the sun is becoming active again as it enters solar cycle 25. This week, scientists' predictions of sunspots were proven via photographs from astronomers around the world. Giant sunspot AR 2786 can be viewed with proper filters and may create strong flares that reach Earth. All right. So this is why we are interested Excuse me, I'm just clearing my throat. This is why we're interested in what the sun flare is doing. All right, so this is dated recently. This is uh, today's. I want to find the date on this. Yeah, November 28th. All right, so this right here is is new and fresh, hot off the presses. All right. View Earth sky commentary photos, or community photos. I'm sorry. Nancy I can't even pronounce that name, Resigliano of Long Island, New York, captured this image of a giant sunspot, AR2786, on November 27th. She wrote, I have been so excited to see that we have sun activity. It's been so quiet for a long time. I can't believe how many Earths can fit into a sunspot. Thank you, Nancy. After this quote, end quote. Thank you, Nancy. After a long stretch of quiet on the Earth, solar activity has restarted in earnest. Now, with the beginning of solar cycle 25, photographers are capturing clusters of spots as they rotate to face Earth. Excuse me. My studio is, again, in a basement. So I think it's really important to mention that, as Wayne's World had stated, and Suspicious Observer as well, had stated that, a solar minimum was pretty active. There was a lot of solar flashes, a lot of solar activity that were not sunspot. And so it's important to remember. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go through the article a little more. And thank you all for being with me here. After a long stretch of quiet on the sun, solar activity has restarted in earnest. Now, at the beginning of, I think I read, whatever. Solar cycle 25, astronomers are capturing clusters of spots as they rotate to face Earth. The photographers had advance warning that the solar storms were on the way, and we prepared to capture the dark sunspots. On November 18th, 2020, scientists at the National Solar Observatory (NSO) predicted a large new sunspot group would emerge in time for Thanksgiving. Well, it looks like it has. In the U.S., the largest spot on the sun above, AR 2786, confirms the scientists' predictions. Oh, and then it says, before we go on, a warning. Never look at the sun directly without safe solar filters. Unprotected viewings of the sun can cause blindness. Well, I have looked at the sun, not for extended periods of time, and I have to say my eyesight was bad before, and it didn't make it worse. Didn't help it though. All right. So I guess the showing you that right there is a sunspot. Maybe that's one a little bit there. Well, it could be my dirty monitor. Nope, it's moving. All right. View at Earth Sky commentary photos. Victor C. Rogus in Sedona, Arizona captured this image on November 27th and wrote, here we used an H alpha filter tuned to the red glow of solar hydrogen. It shows dark filaments winding around AR2786, a complex magnetic field that harbors energy for M-class solar flares. Here we see AR2786 and the smaller AR2785. Thank you, Victor. I would agree. Okay. Solar activity. All right. 26th of November. This is shows 2786, 2785, 2783, 8685. In Mumbai, India, captured this photo of sunspots on November 26, 2020. He wrote, Sunspot AR 2786 is getting bigger with the addition of multiple trailer spots. Thanks, Selu. Hello, trailers. Okay, well, that's interesting. All right. Trailer. This one came first. Three. That's five. That's six. This is Bill Shaw in Greene County, Virginia. Capture this photo of sunspot AR 2786 and AR 2785 and AR 2783 on November 26, 2020. Thanks, Bill. Okay. How did the NSO scientists know this spot would appear? Their prediction came via a telephone developed at NSO in the 1990s known as helioseismology. It's a way of listening to changing sound waves from the sun's interior. These scientists' statements explain. Oh, there we go. Thank you. I'm like when they don't like when it doesn't do that. Right. Seismology here on Earth measures sound waves traveling around Earth's interior to reveal what we cannot see beneath the Earth's surface. Similarly, helioseismology can highlight structures on the sun that cannot yet be seen from Earth. Millions of sound frequencies bounce freely throughout the sun's interior like a bell. Regions of strong magnetic fields perturb with these sound waves. Thus, a change in wave signal measurements indicate that sunspots may be present. Wow. This is in, pardon me, in Bacau, Romania, caught AR 287 on November 24, 2020. He wrote, It's been a long time with no sunspot activity. I'm wondering what this is down here. It looks like local stuff that got in the way. I don't know. And long time with no sunspot activity, and now is comeback time. With the new sun cycle, we have an increased sunspot activity, including today, no less than 3 active regions: 2783, 2785, and 2786. The last one is a giant sunspot, several times larger than Earth. Thank you, Radu. Radu. Mm-hmm. All right. As seen from around the world, giant sunspot AR 2786 will come into even better view in the days ahead as the sun spins. It'll be possible to glimpse with optical aid using safe solar filters or by using an indirect viewing method. Here are seven tips for observing the sun safely. Leanne, wow, that's a whole lot of comments. um, yeah, I would say I believe the sun is conscious. Well, the universe is conscious. It's all, um, pardon me. You can't. It's like holographic. If that whole thing is true, there's a spark of life in the molecules themselves and the atoms. They're intelligent and they act in an intelligent way at the very base level. by responding to the consciousness of the observer. It's the same thing here with with our common space as well. That no matter how far advanced you get, if you're doing something, you look around to see if something is someone's observing you. Very few people are ever totally oblivious of anyone around them. And why? Why does it matter? Some people like I kind of give that I give that vibe because I generally want to stay focused on what I'm doing and not meet people's eyes. But I'm one of the rare people. I could be on the borderline autistic or maybe borderline sociopathic that I don't care what other people think around me in that respect. That yeah, I said hi to you once. I don't give a shit now. I don't care. I don't want to talk to you. And it's not because I don't like you. It's just I don't want to talk to you. I have nothing personal. It's nothing personal on you. I just don't want to talk to you. Right. So that's not a thing most people have. They take it personally. If you say, I don't want to talk to you, oh, you want to talk to other people? No, it's the same for everyone else. I don't want to talk to anyone. What, I don't want to use the word despise, but I don't want to say dislike. Just, I don't know. It doesn't, I don't care. Uh, and so it's hard to explain this to people because it's this element of talking, and it's like, no, the talking thing, it's just a tool you can shut off. Okay. And so I'm not sure what this has to do with a lesson or how we got here. Um, oh my God, the coffee's so warm. I got some money today, and then so the first thing I did was I went out and got some coffee and real creamer, and because I already got some sugar. And life is grand when you have coffee. Coffee and some smoke. Other I don't care. Could the rest of the world could be falling down. I don't care. I'm good tonight. So that's why I figured I'd do a live stream and see if anyone else wanted to talk about sunspots. um, so uh, so um, where am I? All right. So back to the lesson since I forgot what I was going to what the point of getting off the lesson was. Um, Kieran, 7 tips for observing the sun safely. You know what? I will open, look at a new page, see what that says, if I can remember. All right. Uh, Kieran Jane, the scientist who is leading the efforts at NSO to predict coming sunspots via helioseismology, said that the large sunspot AR 2786 produced. Oh, yeah, we're talking about the intelligent sun. Yes, the universe is intelligent down to a molecule. And so, therefore, if the molecules can act in intelligent ways because of the consciousness of the observer, it also follows through from the very molecule to you. Or do you think you're different? I don't know. Yeah, you're kind of psychotic. Yes, okay. But I know the lesson and I know the material. And so, therefore, the sun is conscious. Yes. If like I don't know, I had put in the I should have put the post. I think I did put in the post, or I put it somewhere in comments that no, actually, I don't think I put it in the YouTube post here. I should have. It's amazing since we are now officially in Sun Cycle 26. Okay, but those of you who have been watching Wages and who know, the sun has been sending off material in our general direction, just glancing us and also not glancing us. And so the number of times we've been lucky that they randomly haven't hit us. All right, it's a big ass sun. All right, yeah, okay. The chances of finding a needle in a haystack being us, and all of the 360 by 360 degrees that it could possibly go off in, uh, there's this little tiny speck of us, so it's conceivable we could get missed. Yeah, sure. There's a lot bigger, more of the sun that's blasting off shit. Uh, however, however, is it luck or is the sun really conscious? I will leave that to you. They talk about there's this thing that talks about there's the kind of new age mumbo jumbo pseudo spirituality that talks about solar flare and a solar flash. Okay. Well, do you want a solar flash? Because it's taken out everything in its path. If you think you're good and kind and wonderful, that just means you're secured a place in heaven. But rest assured, no matter how spiritually advanced you think you are, a solar flash coming into you in third density, especially if you're that arrogant to think that it wouldn't affect you as well, you're in for a very nasty surprise when that blast finally does come in. I mean, among other things, it's taking the satellites, any electromagnetic equipment, your cell phones, uh, the fire alarms. I'm trying to think of anything that's not on the grid, the EMF communications grid, satellites network. But that flare comes in. Oh, it's you're done. You and your stupid arrogance are done. First and foremost, you're not talking to anyone anymore. Uh, and second off, you try and get your paperwork in order. And I think if there's a moral to the story here anywhere, it's me reassuring you and those of you who are of good kind souls that just even you too got to keep your bags packed. And by that, you tie up all the loose ends, make sure all of your affairs are in order, and do not be a debtor or a lender. Uh, you know, live within your means. These are some general, seemingly simple things, but the more simple you can keep your life, and the less ballast you have in your life, when those solar flares and solar flashes come in, and they do wreak havoc, there will be less of a footprint that you have in your life, that you are competing against the natural egression of the material stuff back home, the earth where it came from. So this is just, why is it important for the average person to know about this stuff? Because are your affairs in order? Just simple. I mean, my bags were packed when I was living in a tent in the woods. I've shared that. I came out of living in a tent in the woods, expecting that would be it. That would be it. And no, oh no, 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 no. Within a few months, I have this active studio here. The universe has given me back kind of what I lost. You know how the stuff all works, and it's time. It is absolutely time for you to be on the ball with this and tell people what's coming up. I mean, whether or not you do believe in the solar flash is kind of it's irrelevant, but it is relevant. If you don't believe in it, make sure your affairs are in order. If you do believe in the solar flash, make sure your affairs are in order. Right? Does that make sense? No matter what side of the seesaw you're on, no matter what side of the curtain you're on, if you know it's all BS, you would have your affairs in order. If you don't know that there is something that's waiting there for us, then let this be your wake up call, and start getting your stuff in order. And when it is time for that that grand blessed event, that if it's not going to happen, but you see what a mess it is, it's still important enough for you to wrap up your outstanding affairs. Get rid of the ballast, get rid of the rusty, the musty, the dusty, anything that you have accumulated that is accumulating. You have in your basement or storage that's accumulating dust on it, or if it's outside getting rusty, donate it to someone. Right? If you're not using it and you can't take care of it, it's not really yours anyway. If it's in storage and you got to pay for it, it's not really yours, because any number of things can come and take that thing away from you. Um, and so it's just important to remember, that it's just things can happen rather quickly. And when they do, you won't have time. If anyone that knows Dutch, don't be scared, be prepared. And that's my message as well. That, I will survive. I know. I'm good. I have bikes. I have, if all of this goes down and I can't do anymore, if I'm living out in the woods without internet, I'm good. That's fine. You know. However, I won't get that. I don't get that. No, no, no. I'm right in the middle of it. I'm in the city. No, no, no. You're not. No, you're good. You're protected. I'm protected. No, no, no. I'm good. But this is to everyone out there who is, if you're questioning, trade. It's a good thing to start trading off whatever you have in storage for survival stuff. An axe, a hatchet, a hammer, hand tools. Like it's just some good things to think about. Um, and if as they say, the Stone Age, uh, you know, like it's, you know, do you think a flash would make the gravity change? Well, what is gravity produced by? If it's produced by the spin of the Earth, and one of these flashes has the ability to slow down the Earth, what happens to gravity? Gravity, electromagnetic radiation. There's a gravity. An electromagnet can pick up a car. An electromagnetic can pick can and an electromagnet. That's how they move steel in big quantities of steel is by electromagnets. And there's a residual charge on the steel once you have charged it that it actually can stay in place where you whipped it because the molecules all realign in a certain way. So they're able to stack these crazy tall. Here in Providence, they do this. They have a scrap thing that they send over to China, and so they pile it way high, at least 100 feet. I don't know, it's crazy, 80 feet, and it all kind of stays up there and it doesn't tumble down. In part because it's all kind of locked in place, but in part it's kind of electromagnetically held there in place. So there is a that unified force of electromagnetic and gravity, that if you change the electromagnetic component of it, you could change the gravity, it could change the spin. Yeah, so there's a possibility that these things can happen, and what that means for you is shifting timelines, wacky synchronicities, stuff, the whole time base, getting in synchronization with people, the temporal, the mind of the mind. That's one of the things that affects the flashes and the solar flares. The first thing you feel is in your head, in your mind, and that's where you can feel the wacky shit on your your crown. It's above your head. It's one of the chakras. It's above your head, and the ones that are even higher than that are affected first because there's a invisible bow shock front wave. I don't know what to call it, that comes off of the sun before it reaches you. And any of you that have followed Queen V or the people that know this kind of stuff, they'll feel when as soon as something comes off of the sun, they'll feel it, and they'll be off. The same thing kind of happens to me, and I don't know what it is. And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm then like I get crazy with me. I get crazy joint problems, connective tissues. That's where I feel it on my knees and my hips and my ankles. Um, and depending on what part of that wave is traveled, uh, the electric component travels first. The magnetic part, which is the wave, the photon energy, the light travels first. Pshum, beyond the speed of light. Then you see the flash, and then you feel the thunder. Right? So that your hairs will prickle up all over you. Then you see it, and then you feel it, right? So those are what you feel is the magnetic component, the wave, the heavy side of it, and the photons are the light energy that comes first. So I think that answered the question, but I know I got off topic. Yes. Oh, Phi Harmonics is here. Hello. Thank you for being here. R A. Thank you. Uh, yeah, well, lots of disorders. Could rhythmic patterns of I'm going through the comments here. Could rhythmic patterns of electromagnetic activity likely be associated with the consciousness of the sun? Well, part of let's see if I can get the front facing camera. I'm getting the camera on here. See if I can find my webcam. Where did you go? I know you're around here somewhere. I like sort of having, as I'm talking to people, having it so that I can actually be seen. And I was planning on doing probably a couple hours tonight. I don't know. One I did 3.5 hours, so that was. Am I? Here I am, all of me. All right, there I am. Hello. All right, with my Time Life, Judy, the Time Life operator headset on. All right. So, as hello. Okay, I'm trying to dial me in here. Thank you all. Okay. Okay, there I am. All right. Okay. Um. So, um, like I was saying, the you want to just remember to keep your footprint light. And so especially if you're on the spiritual path, you've cleared away a lot of the baggage, you'll start noticing um the higher densities, your chakras, the energy centers are basically, those are your densities. Okay. So your mental, the densities are the spatial aspect. Okay. The mental, uh, the mind over matter part that you can kind of mentally of your self control, like acupressure for headache, or ways that you have of healing your own pain. You go see a doctor, and that you take care of it regularly, and then there's that. But then there's the things that you can do, and you are able to talk to the pain, or you go see a Reiki healer or something like that, where you're not taking a pill or something, where your energy has been blocked in a certain way. Like, that's densities. All right. So when we're talking about getting your affairs in order, clearing out the densities, the lowest densities are the ones, and this relates to the solar flare. This relates to the solar flashes, the solar, all of the radiance of the sun, of what it's helping the planet to take back. That part of us that have been, oh, how shall I say, hoarders? I don't know a good way to say this, but been accumulators of stuff. All right. So eventually that stuff will be returning at some point. It returns back to source. And if you aren't able to take care of it, it gets wrecked. The elements come in and take care of it for you. And so this is a lesson that some of us who are on uh, the spiritual kind of ascension pathway have found out, that that if you can't take care of it, if you say have to downgrade your space because of rent or whatever, maybe you had too big of a space. What are you holding on to? And I've been talking about the same exact thing with all of my friends here locally since, I don't know, 2014. I'm like a broken record to my friends out here and my associates out here. So it's like, all right, well, let me go sound like a broken record to the people on YouTube, and see if they get any benefit out of it. My friend Josh, locally, um, he had a problem with his boyfriend, his then partner, who was not a mature person. Um, and so the partner, who shall remain nameless, this guy who shall remain nameless, except an anecdote only. And I see him now and again. I'm on somewhat good terms with him, but he's got the name of a fallen angel. I'm not even going to say it, but I found that was a surprise when I found that out. But then it wasn't a surprise. I'm like, yeah, no, I kind of expected that. Um, so, uh, so, just kind of getting myself more in frame there. Okay, bad background. I don't like that. All right. So he was living. They broke up, and then what happened was the ex boyfriend with the name of the fallen angel. He wound up living next door to the woman who felt sorry for him and took him in. And I told my friend Josh, I was like, "Don't worry, this isn't going to be something that's a long-term solution." And he was like, well, I don't know how to deal with this. I'm like, don't worry, it's not going to be a long term thing. And so what happened was within 3 weeks, I think it was, the the house was devoted. It was one house that was divided into two apartments. And so what happened was the apartment on the right hand side, they had a party. The teenage kid, had a party the night before, and they, like a guest or someone, set off they had a fire in the attic, and it basically it ruined enough of the house they had to condemn it. And so then everyone had to move. So there's no way to predict that a house is going to catch on fire, but my guides had told me that the relationship, that the relationship was over, and what was going on at the house next door wasn't going to last. I knew that I knew my guides had told me that problem with the people next door was not going to be there for very long, because it was just this crazy kind of house, and people were not doing their part, and it was just a nutty environment for people to be in. The teenage kid and the single mom, there was no dad in the picture, and all of this crazy kind of shit. So, um so my guides had said to me, don't worry, it's not going to be that long. And so I was like, all right, whatever. And so sure enough, within a month easily, things had worked itself out. He was in a new place, and I was like, I didn't know it was a fire, but yeah, I told you, I knew. My guides told me, and so that's what I kept every time I would see him. You know, I'd commiserate with him, but I'm like, don't worry, you don't stress it, just don't talk to him, blah blah blah. So that's part of what it is in our life. If we don't release the ballast and just release it. It was no longer, the guy's boyfriend was no longer in the house. He was no longer living there. Yeah, it's bothering you. The guy's out there in the front porch, laughing, smoking, having a good time. I understand that, but the universe has a way, has a plan. And as long as you keep your side of the street clean, you'll be good. Don't worry about it. Don't focus on him. And that was the message. That was the message that I got from my guides, from the guides. And philosophy class early in the AM. Yeah, well, that's kind of what this is, I guess, a philosophy class. Thank you, Liam, for being here. I appreciate that. Um, and so, that's part of what the lesson here is. I talked somewhat about sunspots, so I can at least say I've spent some time talking about sunspots. But with this also comes, I'm one of those people who is a volunteer who volunteered to incarnate here to help people in this lifetime for the great harvest time. And so if there's anything that you believe in, and that there's some truth to this thing about the solar flare and the solar flash being a spiritual, um, I don't know, a spiritual principle, that it's coming and clearing out some shit. If you're also holding on to your shit as well, then it's clearing out some of your stuff as well. And that's really important to remember, that if whatever you're holding on to is getting cleared out. And unless you're able to like physically hold on to it and carry it like a bag of tools, I have a bag of tools, I have a bike, there's some basic things I have. So without a person, without you taking care of the basic necessities first, and then kind of having a concentric ring of the second important things and third important things, um, you can stand better the loss of the density and the ballast, and that's what I'm calling the stuff in your life that is rusty and musty, dusty, broken, not working, is toxic. It's time to get rid of that, and that's what the solar flashes is here for. Is going to do. Will do. Uh, and yeah, there's a spiritual component to it too, but if a person has been accumulating stuff, which is again things that are getting rusty, dusty, musty, moldy, any of the above, if you have things in storage, like these are what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying you can't have your your tools. There's necessities, pots and pans. There are things that we need. There's a delicate balance about, do I need this, or is this something that is getting not used, or when was the last time I used this? And so that's I have been honing this down since before I was living in the tent in the woods for this purpose of being ready to be on this spiritual kind of path of by spiritual I mean it's finding the the delicate balance between what I need in my life to fulfill my life's plan and my life's contract, what I need to make that happen, the things that also make me happy, which are bicycles. uh, I have a number of them. I've shown you. I have a number of bikes. Like you can see, I have a number of bikes up here. I have kind of accumulated these broken bicycles that need repair. And so that's where I'm at with these things, is that I fix these bikes and then return them back into service after oftentimes donating them to someone who like I just give me back what I have paid, need or want. Exactly. I've given a bike, $100 or $150 bikes, or I've given people, the money isn't the object. There's a certain amount of cash that I need to get in exchange for bringing it into the shop, right? So I will do I will put them together as much as I can, but there's certain special things like adjusting the brakes and the, this is, there's certain work that only the shop can do. They have the tools. I'm not getting a bench thing, and like, all right, so there's a trade-off, but I get discount on the parts and blah blah blah, and then I have a place that it's assured that they've done the safety check on it, like these type of things. And so I have a good relationship with the local bike shop, and like, all right, so I have this as a thing that I can do in the background for money to take care of myself. I do the human resonances thing here. I talk about this for people on the ascension pathway. I'm not getting any money for this, right? So even if I reach one or two people, like a lot of these live casts have a lot of people, and the chats are relatively fun or whatever. I like the chats, but over and above everything, there are some substantial takeaways here to people that there's stuff that's happening, and if I reach 5 or 6 people, it's because those people are ready and they're at the top of the class. You know, this is not kind of the beginner. I try and make it as easy for people to understand, but this is not, my whole gig here, the Schumann Resonance is not, for the beginner. I try and make it as easy for people to understand, and I try and break it down the best I can. And I do my best, and I hope people will work with me on this and asking questions. And I like the comments from people. I try to read them, and that's one of the reasons why I like having the live cast with Alex, so that while he's doing music, I can read the comments. And so Alex and I are working on kind of a system for he and I, where we can, talk about like the lesson for the day, like here at Sunspots, and even you watch the first half an hour of this or whatever, you got a lesson in Sunspots, okay, but we're talking more about this, but I'm so there's the basic level there of sunspots, which is complicated enough, okay. But then there is the other lesson of being, the other part of this of the spiritual part, where those few who are ready, who have made it clear that they're ready. And thank you. I see that, uh, KJ. Um, so that's what my guides had told me. You're not leading anyone to the water. There's that expression: "You can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink." No, no, no. I'm not leading anyone to the fucking water. If you haven't come to the water already, I'm not leading you to the water. If you haven't found the water, man, you're not. Don't like, yeah, I'll give you some general directions, but I ain't the water bringing to you water to you bringing kind of person. No, no. I am waiting at the water for you after you've had the drink, right? And then from that water, that holy sacred water, uh, you have realized, like the blue and the red pill. I'm not. Was it red pilling? I forgot which one. Uh, so if you haven't made that commitment to yourself, to your higher self, to your over self, to your spiritual self, if you haven't already made that connection, then I can't. I'm not bringing that to you. I can't bring that to you. Um, However, if you are, why didn't I think of this before? There we go. So if you are of that sort that is uh, at the water ready to drink, then I'm working with you. I'm here with you, and so that's kind of what my goal and what my mission is to kind of lead those who are ready to be led into the next kind of the next phase of where we're going. All right. So let me get back to. All right. So back to the lesson, and because I want to close this out and finish reading this. I haven't read this yet, so this is the first time I'm reading through this with you. Thank you. All right. Okay. The strongest far side signal that we have had this solar cycle, we first noticed the signal in our far side images on November 14th, 2020. It was inconspicuous at first, but grew quickly, breaking detection thresholds just one day later. Since we are in the very early phase of the new solar cycle, a signal from the large spot stands out clearly. Oh, there we go. They're showing us where they stand out clearly. There's 2786, 2785, 2783. All right. Victor C. Rogas in Sedona, Arizona, captured AR 2786 on November 24th, 2. See how the spot is further from the edge or the limb of the sun now. The sun's rotation is bringing it into better view. Thank you, Victor. Hi, Bradley. Phone is broken. Oh, that sucks. I hear that. Can listen. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Okay. I'm just going over the comments. Thank you all for being here. Leanne, yeah, we said goodbye. Yeah, I appreciate that. And take off mental job, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I appreciate you all being here. A lot of you are kind of on a good pathway, and I'm. There's a lot of like amazing stuff coming around the corner, but there's a matter of the grand accounting of um, pretty much of clearing out if it's getting again. Like for those of you who just got here, if it's broken, musty, dusty, rusty, moldy, needs repair, donate it to someone. Give it to someone who needs. It's just that simple. Um, Lighten your own load so that when the great solar flash gets here, all right. Solar storms, on the cherry note, solar storms are disturbances on the sun whose effects move through our solar system, sometimes striking Earth. Okay. They're often seen to originate in the same region of the sun as sunspots, especially large, complicated sunspots like AR 2786. Well, isn't this interesting? Earth's atmosphere protects earthly life from the effects of solar storms, but solar activity does affect our human technologies. The NSO statement explained. The more tangled the magnetic field, the more likely it will result in large solar flares and coronal mass ejections that in turn can result in effects on Earth. Those include impacts on communications, GPS, and possibly electrical grid systems. Possibly. Possibly. So if your electrical grid system has not been hardened off, it would affect yours. And if you don't know whether or not your electrical grid is hardened off, likely it's because it's not. They make a mention of it a lot often, and if you don't hear about it, it's because, well, that's how often they do it. That's one of those things. And so, like, we talk about hardening something, like that's the Faraday cage that kind of protects it, the whatever. So, uh, I'm gonna one of these videos, maybe I don't know, one of these videos coming up soon. I want to dedicate to a Faraday cage, and discuss this with people and talk about that general um, kind of topic. And because that's really important, that at least in your house, or your apartment, if you can, you're able to kind of harden off your space, and just kind of like discuss what that is, then I think that would be a great, if there's 12 or 13 of you or 20 of you, there we go. I've gotten up to 20 people at one point. I'm doing pretty good when I have 20 people. So Um, so that hardening, like so, the Faraday cage. There's this general kind of theme that runs through it. So, in future live casts, I think I'll do that. It's one of those subjects I have in the back. In fact, I have Faraday cage. That's one of the links here on my that's on the my browser that I was going to do a video on. So I will likely do a video and then have another live stream where I can talk to people about a Faraday cage, making Faraday cage, how to harden off your electronics, blase, blase b. All right. So, space weather, electrical grid. So when a sunspot like AR 2786 occurs, solar scientists and other sun watchers start watching for solar storms and the sudden bright solar flares, which we haven't seen yet, that go with them. This activity on the sun creates what is called space weather, which NASA describes as conditions on the sun, in the solar wind, and within Earth's magnetosphere, ionosphere, and thermosphere that can influence the performance and reliability of space-borne and ground-based technological systems and can endanger human life or health. All right. So when they start talking about the ionosphere, that's where we start paying attention for the Schumann resonances. All right, the thermosphere is below the ionosphere. It's closer to this Earth planet herself, the ground, Earth ground, what I call. And then the magnetosphere is further out, closer to the sun. So the magnetosphere ionosphere boundary is the where it starts going from uh, electricity for us, if that's can you can kind of wrap your head around that. But a lot of, and I've talked about this in the comments, and I think on some of the videos or whatever. But a lot of the radiance from the sun, solar radiance that comes off, gets caught up in the magnetosphere. Okay, so between the magnetosphere and the ionosphere, there's a uh, the the magnetosphere goes around the Earth and then behind it, if you will. The ionosphere largely is contained around the Earth. It's not quite a perfect circle. It's an odd shape, because as you can imagine, it's constantly being bombarded, and there's more of an ionosphere in the front than there is in the back. Okay, so that's one of the things that the difference between the daytime and the nighttime, or the diurnal, what they call daytime and nighttime differences, is that the magnetosphere wraps around. You've seen that it wraps way around the sun. I'm sorry, way around the planet, and then behind it. Okay, so that's the magnetic kind of border boundary of the planet. Within that is the charged particles that are kind of at the between the edge of space and that are kind of at the furthest reaches of the planet, the atmosphere kind of bounds that electromagnetically binds all that together, partly with its the charge, but partially due to the turning of the Earth, and there's a number of forces that convection forces and all of that, and the oxygen and nitrogen, whatever, all of this. So it's a kind of a complicated thing, but that the ionosphere is largely where an electrical charge is held in the planet, around the planet, and that's somewhere around 25, 200 to 250,000 volts. Is that differential between the Earth ground and the ionosphere? That's how much of a charge 200 to 250 kilovolts, 1,000 volts, are up there that are generated as a kind of envelope around the planet. Okay. All right. So that's the ionosphere and the thermosphere that can influence the performance and reliability of spaceborne and groundborne technological systems. All right. So yeah, we talked about that. So there's a solar forcing that happens that when you get kind of bombarded by these, the magnetosphere takes a hit, and we get bombarded by heavy CME, and that kind of helps to kind of batter the magnetosphere, and it kind of pushes down the what they call what solar observers call as solar forcing. And so those layers, the higher layers of the ionosphere, push down, and then it kind of pushes everything down into the planet, electromagnetically, electrostatically speaking. And so that's, this kind of exchange of pushing of molecules is one of the things that causes kind of a generation in Schumann resonances. All right. According to the website spaceweather.com, the smallest sunspot AR 2785, which is near AR 2786 on the sun, has already produced a C4. Oh, I don't want to do that. Where did you go? Okay, that was not it. Next one. Here we go. All right, there we go. Okay. Solar flare late in the day on November. Okay, well, that's all right. That's interesting. We can kind of look that up. Solar flare late in the day. So, if you fell off on November 23rd, that would have been what, Tuesday, I guess? Monday, maybe, somewhere on there. Beginning of the week, you didn't feel like going? Well, there you go. The explosion hurled a plume of plasma more than 350,000 kilometers, which is 217,000 miles across the sun. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory recorded the splashdown. See the animated image below. We will have to see the animated image below. Space weather reported that the pulse of ultraviolet radiation from AR 2785 hit Earth, bam, briefly ionizing the top of our atmosphere. This in turn caused a shortwave radio blackout over the South Pacific, including eastern Australia, all of New Zealand, blackout map here. Now, this is interesting. I'm going to have to look to see um, if this was the day that we had that little tiny data gap. I don't think that this is what caused that data gap, though, if I remember correctly. I'm going to have to, maybe I could. See, this would be a perfect application for Alex. Here, play some music. Let me go look for the, in my, captured images from the pulse that happened on the 23rd. Late in the day. So they're not late in the day. What is that? Is that universal time or local time? On November 23rd. So we would have to look at relative to Tomsk, where the hell local they're reporting to where Tomsk local is. I don't know, but somewhere on the 23rd, we have data blackout, and I should. Maybe I'll go after the end of this. I'll go and look in my images to see if I can find that. All right. All right, mainly below 10. Frequencies affected were mainly below 10 megahertz. All right. So, again, the Schumann resonances are hertz. Mega is a million. This was mainly below 10 million hertz. So, Schumann resonances, again, of 8, and they're harmonics. They're harmonics. You got to remember that, because harmonics are the combination of two or more out of phase waves or out of time waves by that much. All right, so two waves that are off by 8 hertz or 7.8 hertz is going to give you, but those are not fast moving waves. They're not megahertz. They're not kilohertz. It's hard to get 8 hertz from a kilohertz signal. You have two, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it's the sense of scale that we're talking about. All right. So, where you can have temporary blackouts of your data and communications because they are overwhelmed. So that's kind of the thing of what we're talking about with the Schumann resonances, is the data blackout, or does this potentially cause a blackout of the Schumann resonances? And yeah, if it's affecting anything with 'cause these are electromagnetic waves, these are radio waves, so anything with an antenna that picks up radio waves, that picks up communication signal, that type of thing, could effectively be affected by solar flares. So yes, it is quite possible that that little narrow sliver of time that looks to be about half an hour is potentially the one that was the affected by. Actually, since I'm here, speed. All right. Actually, no, I'm not going to look for it. I'm going to finish this article. All right. I said I'd look for it later. I will look for it later. All right. Let me get back to the reading. Okay. Hit Earth, briefly ionizing the top of our atmosphere. All right. So how the Schumann resonances work? When the lightning is discharged from the ionosphere down to the planet Earth, there's a potential difference. And part of what helps bridge the gap is rain. You lower the resistance of the atmosphere to electrical discharge. So especially anything that also is able to produce its own charge of, so like hail, things like that. Dust storms produce lightning, and so these electromagnetic discharges travel out. Um, so they're generated from the ionosphere down to the Earth, but we don't record them until they get to the Earth. Okay. So there is activity that happens in the upper atmosphere that is not registered on the Schumann resonances because the antenna is on the ground. uh, there's not many antennas that are up in the, Schumann resonance antenna detectors that are up 100 or 120 feet up in the air. Radio, broadcast, line of sight, radio terrestrial broadcast, citizens band CB travels generally, well, maybe not so much CB, but the higher like megahertz, any of the million hertz, kilohertz, past kilohertz is where you start getting into megahertz and gigahertz. You talk about line of sight. There's a straight line broadcast of the signal, the EMF signal, from tower to tower. All right. So, or from your device to the antenna. It's got to lock in a location for your device. Okay. So line of sight broadcasts move at a, how about PEMF? I'm not sure what a PEMF is. I'm not sure. I've not heard of that expression PEMF. Um, so lightning discharge. I've made posts where I've talked about the DC and the AC circuit between the ionosphere and the Earth. So a lightning discharge is a least of path of least resistance, but it's a straight line, bing bing, from the ionosphere to the Earth ground. Okay, so from that as your starting point, it radiates outward as waves, essentially at that point. Once it's made the initial discharge of lightning to the ground. All right. Now, the ionosphere being kind of activated a little bit more has the effect of being able to boost the signals of the Schumann resonances. So there's a part where it's creating more lightning, and then there's the part where it's helping to kind of power more lightning uh, activity, which creates more EMF activity. Okay, so if hopefully that makes sense to everyone. Okay, all right, back to the material. More like the beamer. I'm not sure what Phi harmonics. I'm not sure what a PEMF machine is. That's not something I have heard of. Okay, so if you can give me a link to that, that'd be great. Or info, that would be great as well. All right. And thank you for the 10 of you who are here and the few of you who are commenting. I appreciate that. More solar flares are in the offing. Three of the biggest sunspots of young solar cycle 25, which are AR 2783 and AR 2785, 85, 20, and AR 2786, are either facing Earth or turning in our direction. They all pose a threat for C-class flares like the one shown below, with significant chance of even stronger M flares. Look at that beautiful thing. Oh, lovely. You see it's kind of looping back to itself. And see, these are kind of arc-looking arc kind of things that are. That, I would say that distance is probably greater than like the Earth to the moon, because this thing is like a few Earths, and that, that's some, that, yeah. All right. Where was it? Oh, good. I found the right one. Guessed it. All right. On November 23rd, 2020, a solar flare from the smaller sunspot near AR 2786, AR 85, hurled a plume of plasma across the sun that ultimately affected Earth. This sort of event is why scientists study activity on the sun. Image NASA SDO. The National Solar Observatory helps track these events on the sun via its Gong network. Open that in another tab. All right. I don't have enough open already. Which consists of 6 monitoring stations positioned across the globe. The 6 stations give the Gong network 24-hour coverage of the sun. And this right here, where's my mouse? There you go. Had it. Come on. Come on. There we go. Okay. Valentin Martinez Pilo, director of National Solar Observatory, commented, "The Gong network is providing an essential service to United States space weather preparedness. But Gong is close to 3 decades old and is in need of upgrade." I can sense, I can smell the search for money right there. Need of an upgrade. The original system was not created with space weather in mind. Really? Well, aren't they observing it? Okay. So we are exploring options for the next generation Gong network with modern instrumentation, specially attuned with space weather as a priority. Okay. Sunspots. And they're giving you a little graphic here. Yeah, they're measuring these with solar. I'm sorry, with not solar, with sound. That's pretty amazing. All right. So this is what's interesting. An acoustic signal distributed by sunspots magnetic field. Sunspot on the far side of the sun cannot be seen from Earth. Okay, right there. However, they're sending out these waves that say, sunspot activity is coming up. Oh, that's interesting. This is kind of interesting. The NSF funded GONG network uses sound waves to measure changes inside the sun, indicating sunspots on the side pointing away from Earth. These diagrams of the sun's internal acoustic waves with no sunspots, top panel, and with sunspots, bottom panel, show how the sunspot's magnetic field perturbs the acoustic waves, changing their signature. Measuring this change allows scientists to predict sunspots on the far side of the sun. Huh. Okay. Integrated synoptic program. Okay. And I guess that's with them showing you on the other side. No, it's not. All right. That's November 24th, so it's already shown by then. All right. In this image, the sunspot is a dark green, I'm sorry, a large dark region in about the 8 o'clock position of the sun, near the edge or limb of the sun. A small dark spot called AR 2785 is immediately to its right. Thank you, Aurelian. Bottom line, the sun is becoming active again as it enters solar cycle 25, and scientists' predictions of sunspots have been proven by photos from amateur astronomers around the world. Giant sunspot AR 2786 can be viewed with proper filters and may create strong flares that reach Earth. Okay. And that is the long and short. Oh, and there's Eleanor Imster herself right there. Hi, Eleanor. Eleanor, not Eleanor Rigby, Eleanor Imster helped write has helped write and edit Earth Sky since 1985. She was an integral part of the award winning Earth Sky radio series almost since it began until it ended in 2013. Aww. Today, as lead editor at earthsky.org, she helps present the science and nature stories and photos you enjoy. I did enjoy that. She also serves as one of the voices of Earth Sky on social media platforms including Facebook, Twitter, and G+, which no one ever goes to. She and her husband live in Tennessee and have two grown sons. Okay, lovely. I was blown away by this was predicted. Yeah, I kind of am too. Yeah, all right. So this was a very interesting article on sunspots and how they used radio frequencies to predict sunspots. All right, what is this? Classification of X-ray solar flares. Oh, good God, solar flares. I'm not sure if I've read this before. This might be a good thing to talk about now. What is this? Oh, this was Gong. All right, let's actually, I'm going to read this because we were already talking about this, and then I can actually, hold on. I'm going to bookmark this. No, this is not consciousness. This is human resonances. Okay. All right, so I'm going to take a minute and drink a coffee, and then I'm going to go into this. And this is the sound of me getting coffee. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate there's 8 of you who are here viewing, and I appreciate you hanging out with me. I don't know. So I'm going to go through like what I want to. Again, as a stated clear intention, maybe some of you weren't here from the beginning. As a stated clear intention, I want to talk about sunspots in general. I want to talk about what sunspots are. This here, Gong, is what they were just. The article that I was just reading is explaining about how they're getting the signal. So that's what this GONG satellite is the one that's sending out, basically sound waves to to see to to predict sunspot activity. Okay, so this is a pretty interesting kind of article here, but I want to talk about the some of the kind of technical aspects of a sunspot and what they are, but of course relative to the Schumann resonances and all the things I do here, I have to kind of keep that as a stated goal that I'm looking at this from the perspective of the Schumann resonances. The question is, can the can the Schumann resonances be affected by a sunspot? Okay, so that's the question that I'm answering. Can the Schumann resonances be affected by a sunspot? Or sunspot activity, which would be a flare. And yes, I haven't shown the data gap on the 23rd, but that might be a thing to show. All right, so I'll just read through this. What does this say? Instruments. I got any pictures here? Oh, good golly, there's no the one picture. Is that it? It's not even worth reading this if they're not giving me pictures. Oh, whatever. All right, so I'll read a little bit, see what it says here. The Global Oscillations Network Group, or GONG, okay, Global Oscillations Network Group, is a worldwide network of 6 identical telescopes designed to have 24/7 observations of the sun. The network serves multiple purposes, including the provisions of operation data for use in space weather prediction and the study of solar internal structure and dynamics using helioseismology. Gong data. Pro- uh, Products include full disk 2.5 arc second pixel velocity intensity and magnetic flux images, oh my god, of the sun every minute with an approximate 90% duty cycle, enabling continuous measurements of local and global helioseismic probes from just about just below, sorry, just below the visible surface to nearly the center of the sun. All right, interesting. High cadence, high sensitivity magnetograms near real-time seismic images of the far side of the sun in 2K by 2K H alpha. Oh, it looks like um, intensity images obtained at a 20-second cadence are also available. All right, so the scan rate of when they keep taking pictures is every 20 seconds. Uh, oh, good God, I don't want to read all of this. Gong instruments. Gong instruments is designed to observe velocity oscillations at solar surface using photospheric NI 6768A line. 6 identical instruments were installed in 1995 around the world at good sites and provide about 90% continuity. Velocity is a straight line quantity or quality, I guess. Frequency is cycles per second. So we talk about the uh, electric side, the electric speed being a velocity, the speed, the amplitude being a velocity, and not a frequency. What's the difference? Velocity is a straight line, miles per hour, for example. Frequency is cycles per second. So something with repeating motion, periodic motion. Your tires might have the revolutions per minute. That's a frequency function, and that is not a velocity function. Okay. All right. So I am going to go back to. All right, we've seen that. What is this? I don't think we need that. All right. So I've read about that. Let me talk about no. Let me get rid of that. Gong. I read that. Okay. 7 tips. Now no, go through that. All right. All right. So magnetic fields are measured in Tesla. All right. So where am I? This might help. Boop, boop. There I am. Hello. Can I have another drink? Can I have another drink of coffee again? Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. All 5 of you who are still braving this. Cheers. I appreciate all of you being here. Cheers to those of you who are braving this. All right. So, and I'm willing to also answer questions from people who, if you have uh, questions of something you would like me to look up or something specific, I'm willing to answer. I'm sorry for the shaking. Just got to readjust the camera. Um, and I'm willing. If you have any questions, I want to address the questions, and I'm kind of have it set up so that I can see who's commenting, and I'm doing my best. But again, that's why I like having Alex, is so that I can he can play and I can read the comments, and we work together as a team. All right, so all right, so what we're talking about is the magnetic. Uh, what is the magnetic field of a unit of measure is a Tesla. All right, and so some of this is kind of caramba. All right, this was where I wanted to get to, kind of here. All right, I'm going to read. I'm going to kind of read to you what it says here, and then I want to get down to that chart because there's a number of things that are interesting there to show. All right. And then I think I'm going to, it's going to get close to the 2.5 hour mark. And so I think I'm going to close at about the 2.5 hour mark. So I appreciate all of you who have been here. Any of you who have been here from the beginning, you're still here now. If you're still hanging around, you've been here for a minute. There's one of you, even if you're not here that now anymore. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your coming. I'm not doing the Schumann resonances for myself. I already got the answers from my guides. So the reason I'm doing this is you, for you guys. I I've, I don't need to learn more about this for myself. I've learned enough. I got all the answers, quite honestly. And so I'm here doing this for you guys, for those of you who are here. And I'm asking my guides to help me develop my studio, not for grandization of me or because I need the credit, but because those of you who are interested in this subject, who are interested in the Schumann resonances, and you want to know how it ties into your life, I mean, I can tell you the Schumann resonances are invisible; they don't affect you in any way. However, is that true? May or may not be. I don't know. Well, let's explore and let's see. Um, and so I've given enough cases where I can show that these electromagnetic waves do have an effect on people, and they do affect you, and they do, they have an effect on you in a number of ways, and I've shown that, and that's one of the goals of this channel on Facebook is to talk to people about how the Schumann resonances affect you. It's important for you to know what they are technically on a spiritual level as well, but furthermore, how are they affecting you on a in the everyday day to day life? All right, so how do I say this? This is not some of the more glamorous part of this, but the again, this is the Schumann resonances. I'm if nothing on track with the Schumann resonances, and this definitely relates to the Schumann resonances because it's a unit of magnetic um, measurement, I think. All right. So the sunspots are measured in Tesla. The Schumann resonance of the Earth's magnetic field is measured in Tesla, and the Schumann resonance is measured in Tesla. All right. So sunspots are measured in Tesla. Things that are magnetic are measured in Tesla. It's a unit of measurement for this. So what is a Tesla? All right. So I'm going through the literature and what it says about a Tesla. The Tesla symbol, capital T, is a derived unit, okay, of the magnetic, here we go, magnetic field. And it says a magnetic field is a vector field that describes the magnetic influence on moving electric charges, electric currents, and magnetized materials. A charge that is moving in a magnetic field experiences a force perpendicular to its own velocity and to the magnetic field. Okay, so derived unit of magnetic induction, also magnetic flux density. All right, so that's the same thing. In the International System of Units. Okay, 1 Tesla is equal to 1 Weber. Okay, a flux density of 1 Weber per meter squared is 1 Tesla. Okay. They define each other in terms of what each other is. The Weber is a measure is a part of the Tesla, and a Tesla is square is so many Webers per square meter. 1 Tesla is equal to 1 Weber per square meter. The unit was announced during the General Conference of Weights and Measure in 1960 and is named in honor of Nikola Tesla upon the proposal of the Slovenian electric engineer Franz Avcin. Okay. The strongest fields encountered from permanent magnets on Earth are from Hellback spheres. It says there, a Hellback array is a special arrangement of permanent magnets that
augments the magnetic field on one side of the array while canceling the field to near zero on the other side. This was achieved by having a spatially rotating pattern of magnetism. Okay. And can be over 4.5 Teslas. All right, so that's pretty fucking strong. The record for the highest sustained pulsed magnetic field has been produced by scientists at the Los Alamos Natural Laboratory campus of the National High Magnetic Field Laboratory, the world's first 100 Tesla non destructive field or magnetic field. In September 2018, researchers at the University of Tokyo generated a field of 1200 Tesla, which lasted in the order of 100 microseconds using the electromagnetic flux compression technique. Why is this sounding more and more like Star Trek every day? The flux capacitors. Oh no, it's a flux compression technique. That's what's missing. And yeah, enough magnetics, and you start warping time and space and all of that. And you start warping, strong magnetic fields have effects on other electromagnetic fields, and we as people are electromagnetic fields of energy. And that's important to remember going forward. Okay, definition. We're at the definition part of the program here. All right. A particle carrying a charge of 1 coulomb. All right. Now, I'm not really a science guy. I'm a technical person. So there's part of this that's technical, and then there's part of this that involves math and a bunch of numbers and funny letters and symbols and stuff, which you might call differentials equations. Okay. So so I'm not the person to explain the mathematics to this, but I do understand that it's a small ass number here where we're talking about this number here. It's 0.602176634 blah 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 to the negative 19th. All right. That's all I know there on that all of that stuff. 1 to the 16th to the negative 19th. All right, that's a tiny number. That's um, the pico range for the pico electrovolt picotesla that it's measuring at Tomsk that the Schumann is. It's in the negative 15. So the pico starts at negative 15, 16, 17. Like those are your units. And so this is an even smaller thingamabobber than the the picotesla of the Earth's of the not the Earth's magnetic grid. I'm sorry, the Schumann resonances. Sorry, sometimes it's word salad coming out of my mouth. All right, all right. So a particle carrying a charge of 1 coulomb, which is tiny, and moving perpendicularly through a magnetic field of 1 Tesla at a speed of 1 meter per minute experiences a force with magnitude 1 Newton. All right. And so it says here the Newton is International Symbol of Units, SI, derived unit of force. So a Newton meter is how much force moves in a meter. That's a Newton meter is on the bikes. That's one of the you can have a torque wrench, which is pounds per square inch, uh, or the metric. I forget the metric. But then there's also the one that they use on the handlebars, and that's at NM, and that's like five. I think it's 5 Newton meters. They have a little wrench at the bike shop that goes right to the right. It clicks right at like 5 or 7, whatever it is, Newton meters. So that's one of the things that we use on the bike for a for force. There's torque, but then there's also the force. Torque is circular motion. All right. Experiences force of magnitude 1 Newton according to the Lorentz force law. and I have no way to read that. But the Lorentz force is talking about a spiral motion. And I think that's like the Higgs boson there or some shit. As an SI-derived unit, the Tesla can also be expressed as. All right, so this was one of the things I wanted to get to. That's interesting. All right, so you look at there. This is a volt. All right, the J is the joule. A is the ampere. All right. So a Tesla is equal to, if you look at, you see again the color. You can get the code of letters here. A is ampere. A is ampere, often shortened to amp, is the basic unit of electric charge in the International System of Units. Okay. Then you have a coulomb, which we went through already. Then you have kilogram. All right. Why don't we read what it says anyway? Then you have a meter. I mean, everyone knows what a meter is. I don't care. Give me a chance to take a sip of coffee. Newton. We went through that already. Readjust my mouse. Second. And they keep seconds. They measure them through atomic clocks now, by the way. It's not measuring the distance or the space of the sun, the radiance of the sun, or part of a day or any of that. By the way, that Henry, one of my favorite units, the Henry is the SI derivative unit of electrical inductance and a current of, hey, where'd you go, Henry? I had a roommate once named Henry. I called him my favorite unit of inductance. Although the first time I made the mistake of capacitance and he corrected me, no, that's inductance. So I always remembered him as my favorite unit of corrected inductance. All right. If a current of 1 ampere flowing through a coil produces flux linkage of 1 Weber turn, that coil has a self-inductance of 1 Henry. The unit is named after Joseph Henry. And you look at the date. Look at when this guy was alive. 1797 to 1878. That's like a long-ass life. It's 80-something, over almost 100 years. All right. Volt. So these are all named after people, and it would be an interesting science quiz if you can name the. I might do that as a poll. How many of these units of measurements of SI units of measurement can you identify after the person? Joule. These are, and I think I should also do a vocab lesson one day of all the important words and phrases that people should know in all of this. All right. Joule is a, all right, a Weber. All right. So Tesla is equal to volts times second over meter squared. So these are all interesting kind of equations here of the different ways that they can, come up with what a Tesla is equal to and how they can kind of figure out a Tesla. Okay. All right. So it says electric versus magnetic field. In the production of the Lorentz force, the difference between electric fields and the magnetic fields is that a force from a magnetic field on a charged particle is generally due to the charged particle's movement, while the force imparted by an electric field on a charged particle is not due to the charged particle's movement. This may be appreciated by looking at the units for each. The unit of electric field, very nice, yes, in the MKS system of units is newtons per coulomb, NC, while the magnetic field in Teslas can be written as N/C times M over S. All right. The dividing factor between the two types of field is meters per second, M per S, which is velocity. This relationship immediately highlights the fact that whether a static electromagnetic field is seen as purely magnetic or purely electric, or some combination of these, is dependent upon one's reference frame, that is, one's velocity relative to the field. Okay? In ferromagnets, the movement creating the magnetic field is the electron's spin. All right? It's that whole handed rule thing. Okay. And to a lesser extent, electron orbital angular momentum. In a current carrying wire, electromagnets, the movement is due to electrons moving through the wire, whether the wire is straight or circular. Okay. So these are interesting kind of conversions. 1 Tesla is equal to 10,000 or 10 to the fourth Gauss, which is, that's a symbol of magnetic flux density. All right. And why is this important? Well, another reason why this is important is because there's all these different ways of measuring a magnetic field. Okay, magnetic induction. So in quality, this is something that's important to remember. Like the quality is the magnetic fluctuation of the waves, but what are they measuring it in? Like they don't tell you that. You just have to kind of do the research and figure it out and kind of osmose that it is measured in Teslas. But the other thing is I'm also always kind of challenging what I know, and I'm always looking for more information on any of these subjects. And so as I'm learning more, I sort of start questioning, what do I know? What have I figured out? And is this correct? And so I think sometimes it winds up being a good place to question, what do I know? What am I presenting to people? And I always try and say, this is what I know so far. Up to this point, this is what I found out so far. Okay. So, all right. So this is kind of the end of this anyway. This is probably a good place to kind of stop for now. I'm at hello, I'm back. All right, so I'm at the over 2 hour mark. I think this is the fine place to stop. There's two of you here, and I think maybe one of you is Bradley. No one's commented in a while. So if anyone's still here, there are two people technically here. I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much for you being here. I appreciate the love and support and the commentary of those who were here. And I thank you very much for those of you who are here regularly. If you've already left for the night and you were here earlier or not, or you're one of the last two. Again, I said this before. If you show up for a minute or whatever and watch a minute's worth and then you leave, it's too much, but you come back to it later. I very much appreciate everyone being here. And thank you. Especially you, Bradley. You're one of the people that are here kind of regularly, and I hope that of all the people that see these, because I like your comment and your commentary and your feedback. So, all right. So hopefully if everything goes well, I'll be doing a live cast with Alex. I have a regular webcam coming in. There's some different components that I'm going to get to fix up kind of the other computer to make this all kind of happen. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate everyone, your love and support. Thank you all, especially, those of you, the die-hard core who've been here. I much love and support for everyone. Thank you, and I keep you all in my prayers. So, on that cheery note, namaste, and I hopefully, if things go well, I'll be doing a live cast with Alex. So hopefully, I'll see you all tomorrow, and much love. Thank you all very much. I appreciate everyone being here, and have a great rest of your night. Thank you.